Right, well I'm back on Rainbow for another trip, and in swim 16 this time. It's not a swim that I've fished very much before. I've only fished it once before, and that time around I only had a couple of fish. It was in April, wet and miserable week. Weren't particularly productive anywhere around the lake, but this time of year I'm here now. It's the first 2 weeks of September I've got in here. Normally a better time, normally a good time of year all round really, so hopefully it's going to be a good one. It don't sound like it's been fishing too well this swim actually. Most of the fish, as they have been for the last couple of summers really, are ramped up in swim 21, which is some way down there in the sort of central bit of the lake, and they've been catching a lot of fish in there and off the island. So there's not so many fish by the sounds of it around this area of the lake, but I don't really mind that so much, because often when you're getting numbers of fish you're getting the smaller stamper fish, and I know it might be quieter in other swims. When you do get one, sometimes it's some of the bigger fish that are a bit more sort of like to be on their own, as such, the loners. So that's the hope anyway. But you know, there's a lot to look forward to in here. It's a nice swim, it's a nice part of the world down here. It's been absolutely roasting hot, 36-37 degrees, and well, I wouldn't have thought that would do it too much good really, but there's storms due. Normally storms always kick the fishing off down here, so I'm looking forward to them. In fact, you know, there's a lot to look forward to for the next couple of weeks, so you know, I'm just going to see how it goes. Right, there we go, off the mark. Lovely fish and all, just over 50. Nice scaly one, nice big scales on both sides here. Well pleased with that. And there was loads of fish, well, the last 2 nights they've been boshing about all over the place out in front, but it's been really hot, 36 degrees during the day and over 20 at night. But there was a little one in the night, a little common, and then this morning out of the blue this one's gone off. So well pleased with that, and got things moving anyway. A couple of crab and krill bottom baits just out on the top of the bar by the old Brazilian spot there, and that did the trick. So yeah, well pleased with that. Plenty of time to go. Okay. Right, well I'm just moving one rod as it seems like most of the actions come from one spot, which is by this tree, which they call the Brazilian spot. Now the action I've had is towards the far end of that tree, what you can see from here, in about 7 foot. But there's fish been showing all around this tree from both ends of it, so I've decided to put another one sort of at this far end of it, if you like. So looking on the sounder, there's a nice bar here. It actually drops off a little bit nearer the tree there, so I'm gonna come back just where the bar hits its sort of peak, which is nicely just a little bit away from the tree as well. So you can see that it's about 9.5 foot here, and it drops off to about 22-23 foot either side. So it's, you know, it's quite a high bar, this one, but it's nice and near that tree, and it's where the fish have been showing a lot in the evenings. So I've got everything in the boat that I need to do. I'm putting quite a big hook bait on. That's a hand rolled 4G squid, size 2 fang twister, and you know, big lead to hold on this bar, because they do tend to roll down. They're quite smooth, these bars, and if a lead rolls off it's a bit of a nightmare, so use heavy leads. Couple of H blocks there should I find a spot and need to mark it quick, always useful. And this is always a useful tip, always carry this little box of spares with me in the boat. It's got baiting needles, scissors, hooks, leads, pair of pliers, and you never know what you're going to need when you're out in the boat. If you get snagged up or you lose a lead or something like that, it's handy to have a few spares just so that you can get fishing again without having to go back to the bank. Swing the rig out just so that it straightens the hook length out, lower down to the bottom. There you are. Won't take long to hit bottom there. Give it a few little donks just to make sure that it feels okay. It feels lovely there actually, nice and firm and flat. So I'm just going to put 3 or 4 scoops of hemp around that. These are my 4G squids and the crab and krill freebies all mixed, and a few right on top of the rig, and a little trail going down to where most of the fish are going to be coming in from. Well, I was in a dilemma today what to do, because the only action I've had has been off the Brazilian tree out there, and I've got one rod on it. It had gone quiet, and so in the end I thought I will put another rod actually about 10 yards further down the tree in slightly deeper water. I don't like the crowd, you know, the spot's out too much, but it was the only spot producing, so I did it, and sure enough it's only been out probably an hour and a half, and it's gone off with this one on the end, 51.5 pound common, so it's a lovely evening surprise. And it's been quiet, you know, they're all ramped up in 21, they're getting action all day long and all night long around there, but this end of the lake it's been fairly quiet. We're scratching around, but you know, changed a few things around and something's worked anyway. There's not a lot of fish out here, but you know, 2 fish, 250s, so a mirror and a common, can't really complain at that. Here we go, game on. Well, I moved this one yesterday. It'd been further to the left on a deeper spot in 15 foot. And basically, been out there a week and hadn't gone off. So I moved this one onto the bar yesterday. There's a big bar out here that comes up to 10 foot on top, and I put it right on top in the shallowest I could get it in, which was the 10 foot. And I had a little toot on it earlier, which I thought might be a line or something, and sure enough it's gone off. A bit like Jaws, isn't it, with the barrels. Oh, she blows. Oh, that's a nice one though. In you go. Yeah, decent fish that one. Oh, lovely. They're already zeroed, so right. Oh yes, that is fraction over 64. 64 and a quarter. Oh yes, brilliant. Oh, okay. So before we get any of the camera gear ready, and everything else, let him have a breather in the edge. And I always find, yeah, he's fit and strong already, but I do always find that they go back much better afterwards. If you try and get them out and photograph them straight away, quite often the case, you have to sit in the edge and revive them for a while. So he can sit there for a while and we get everything ready. Yes. Right, well, she's had 10 minutes rest, which is the best thing for them, as I say, in this hot weather. But what a lovely fish, eh? 64 and a quarter. Probably going to be a bit lively now. Like I say, she's had a rest. But look at that, eh? One of Rainbow's finest. Not one of the biggest in the lake for sure, you know, they go a lot bigger than this. But it's a lovely fish, and it certainly feels heavy enough. But nice surprise, it's been quite slow this session, and you know, it takes a bit hard to come by. But the sizes have been good, that's the main thing. And you know, I don't mind missing out on a few 20s and 30s if there's going to be one or two like this at the end of the day. So there we go, Saturday afternoon, halfway through the trip, and the best one so far. 64 and a quarter. Lovely fish though, lovely rainbow common. Got the other rod out, photographed the 64, and the next rod along, and near to the Brazilian. That's gone off now, so things are happening. There we go. God, great big mouth. Oh, not a bad one. Not as big as the last one though. But you're very welcome. You see that great big boilie I put on there. 4G squid, hand rolled bottom bait. I've got some hook bait hardener off Gary Bays and made myself some big hard hook baits. Well, no monster bite this lake standards, but they're all welcome, and it give a good scrap, good account of itself. £33 it is. Right, for open water fishing, really the rigs aren't that much different to normal. A little bit stronger, I suppose. Rainbow's quite severe fishing anyway, but it is when it comes to the snag fishing, hit and hold fishing, where you do have to up everything. And these rigs, they might look a bit severe, but believe me, they're needed and they do a job. And when you see this all put together, it makes you realise how we often overrate what carp would be scared of. You know, we think they're scared of lines and big hooks and things like that. Well, believe me, they're not most of the time. Start with, I mean, that's a size 2 fang twister, and I've put a little bit of silicone tubing just over the shank of the hook there, and that'll become clear in a minute. Now the hook length itself is 45 Klingon leader that I've spliced, and you can see it's quite thick, but it's very strong, it's very abrasion resistant, and you know, of course it's meant to be a leader normally, but here I'm using the hook length, using it as a hook length. So what I've got is just a small loop left in the end of that where I've spliced it. It's just a small loop in the end of it there, and I've just super glued it as well just to make extra sure. Now, it needs quite a big hook to get this through the eye, but what I do, go from back to front through the eye with a baiting needle, and then literally ease the loop through the eye of the hook. So there we go, we've now got that through the eye, running from front to back. Now my bait, I'll call these me Gary Bays specials, but these are 4G squids that I've made with some hook bait hardener that Gary Bays give me. Now I've already got that on a little hair with a rig ring on the end of it. See that's a little bit of play there, and then that goes to the rig ring and stop on the other side. Now when that's through the eye like that, I then place the rig ring over the eye. I can get it over, there we go. Now the loop of the hook length then goes over the point of the hook, and then as you pull it tight you can see you've got a very easy to put together hook length. Now the reason I do it like that is that I can change the hook as easy as I want to change it. I can change it every single time I reel in if I want. I've been changing them quite a lot just to make sure. I like them extra sharp, but that is basically a very strong, very robust rig, but it's also an easy change rig, so I can change the hook every single time. Well, I've got a nice one here. To be honest, when it went off I thought it was a bream, because it was just a little drop back, and I looked at it and nothing moved, so I went over and picked it up anyway. After a while I thought maybe it's a carp, and when I got out I eventually went out in the boat and got above it, and turned out to be a lovely common, 63 pound. Proper surprise. Not bad for a bream, mate. God, proper big chunk of a carp, this one. But lovely common. Really nice morning surprise. And it was looking lovely yesterday evening, and I put a thing on Facebook yesterday evening that it looked really good out there for the chunk, and I'd seen a couple in the area. Sure enough, off it's gone with this one on the end this morning. Beautiful rainbow common. Well, a nice morning surprise. Well, it's been an eventful night actually. There's sometime in the early hours in the darkness had a lovely 55 pound mirror, which was a familiar one actually. I'd caught it a few times in the past, so it was a recapture, but it was a really nice fish. And then literally just now it's gone off again, same rod actually, out on the shallow bar out there, the 10-foot bar, and it's gone off with this one on the end, which 56.5. So there we go. What a lovely fish. 2 bites and 2 absolutely lovely fish. 55 and 56. Another absolute cracker. Just not quite 60, I thought it might be third 60 a trip, but 59.5. An absolute corker, lovely fish. Again, looks very underweight actually. I mean, it's a big one, but you know, I reckon at peak weight this has got to be up sort of around mid-60s. Right, there's different ways to approach the fishing at rainbow, depending on what swim you're in really, but it also can vary from spot to spot. I mean, swim 16 where I'm in now is a prime example of that, you know, where different rods have got to be fished different ways really, and these two I'm fishing to the Brazilian spot, which is basically fishing across to a fallen tree, so I need to fish locked up for that. I don't want the fish to get anywhere near them branches. I'm only fishing about a rod length off the branches, so what I've got to do is as soon as that fish picks up the bait and gets hooked, I've got to stop it in its tracks before it gets a chance to reach the branches. So what I've got for that is the rods are locked at the back in the butt lock grips, you know, back rod rests, and bank sticks are firmly pushed into the ground, very firmly, and the reels I've got braid all the way through to a mono leader, but the bait runner itself is actually switched off, so the bait runner is off and the clutch is screwed down tight, so that literally doesn't give any line at all. And the idea is that when the fish goes to turn, once it's been hooked, it can't actually turn and head towards the snags, and that's how you stop even the big fish in their tracks, and it works very well. Now I've actually got the line clipped into the little line clips on the rods, and the only reason for that is because I'm fishing totally locked up. There's no give in the line, so there's not much in the way of, you know, indication, if you like, when I get a bite. So when that line pulls out the clips, it actually gives you 1 or 2 extra bleeps that you wouldn't get otherwise, and that's the main reason, well, it's the only reason really for clipping it up. And then if I come up to there, say everything's tight, indicators are up tight, and the alarms are set as sensitive as they possibly can be. So if I come over to my other 2 rods, now these 2 rods are fishing on bars in totally open water. They're in the tops of bars in about 10 foot, and I'm fishing with a bottle rig on each one of them, so the line's up on the surface, and basically there's no panic with these ones. They're quite clear in water, you know, nowhere near any snags. So bait runners are open, so when I get a take, the line can be taken off the bait runner, and they can run freely into open water. Line's not in clips because you know, I just don't need that extra indication. The bait runner will just go when I get a take. And although the lines are still tight, you know, the indicators are still up tight because I've basically got the bottles out on the surface and I need to keep them cocked, if you like. So it's still on a tight line, fishing to the bottle, but like I say, it's open water, so there's not such a panic with these. I haven't got a fish locked up. But it describes really, in one swim, 2 totally different ways of fishing this lake. Oh, well, nice surprise this one. Big Fish Thursday does it again. Oh, last full day on the lake actually. We got to leave in the morning, so pleased to actually get this one. But what a cracker! £70 10 ounce of rainbow common. Oh, so pleased with this. Oh, just look at that for a beaut. Knew there were some big ones out there for sure, but well, in fact we've had a run of good sized fish, but I knew there were bigger out there, and saved the best till last. Little spot up by the back of the island there, and just a gentle little take, not much of a fight, but the width of this fish I'm looking down there, it's incredible, and that's what I saw when it went in the net, just the sheer width of it. It's been a great session, and this one tops it all. So £70 10 ounce, so happy with this one. Brilliant result, brilliant end to a brilliant trip. Thank you, Rainbow. Last morning, and God, it's been a quiet night, but it's gone off. There we go. Well, in the end it was a little bit bigger than what I thought. It was a 40, 44 and a half. So, nice fish, only the second 40 I've had actually. And I suppose after the run of big fish the last few days, it did look a bit smaller than those, but there we go. It kept the sequence going of a run every morning. So we've had a bite every morning literally, round about this time, normally a little bit later when the sun's up. But it is the last morning, so it's nice to end with a fish anyway. We've got to pack up in an hour or two, so it's probably going to be the last one. But it has been a great trip. You know, we've had, I think, 5 50s, 2 60s and a great big 70 pounder. So nice to finish, like I say, on a fish. And sad to leave as always. It's been a great rainbow trip, but there we go. All good things have to come to an end, and this one's just about to end, so going to get this one back, start packing up, cup of tea first probably, start packing up and then head on our way. So see you next time.